Hey, if you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing. I don't know why I'm doing this. Alright, so first let me say that I am petrified of needles. Like, that is no joke, alright? I have a tattoo already, and it was such a mission to get, alright? Now, having said that, I'm issuing a tattoo challenge. Now, a lot of you might be wondering, what is that? Well, there's a link in the description below. Please go check it out. It's called the Tattoo Challenge. In a nutshell, if you guys can get me to 5,000k subscribers before the 16th of August, I'm gonna get a tattoo chosen by you guys. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why I decided to do this. Having said that, enjoy the show. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to what's the show called again? Oh yeah, funny you should say that. We've changed it now, so I have to remember. You'll see that I have a Skype logo, or oh shit, he's gone. Overking was supposed to be there, and then we have Queen Wordsmith, who's been in the chats a few times over the course of the few weeks, giving her input and opinions on the topics that we've been talking about, and of course Mikhail Kanaka is also with us. So what we're talking about tonight, ladies and gentlemen, is Overking. Are you with us? Yeah, you are with us. Why?
Yeah, no, my connection just fucked out there for a second. I don't know what happened.
There you are. You're back. All right. So Overking with us, Mikhail and Queen. Tonight we're talking about the woke and feminism, and we're going to give our opinions on that. Now, we decided, well, actually Queen decided, that she should go first because she's the woman, and she can give her opinion on the topic that we're going to talk about now. So, Queen, the floor is yours.
Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. I've always wanted to do that. Also, it's not my YouTube channel. Yeah, I don't even know who's watching, but yeah, just drop me a message or whatever. So I think it's very important that we actually unpack this, and I'm not going to go Oprah on this whole topic or anything like that, but I think with wokeness, we need to always discuss feminism. It's a very important topic to discuss, purely because we have a lot of misguided opinions and thoughts, and thanks to woke culture, everybody believes that they're feminist in some way or another. And also we've got these little, I call them internet warriors, or people that hide behind the screen, that don't say things with their chest when you meet them face to face, and always run when you ask them, say what you said on Twitter. That they believe that they are feminists just by virtue of, one, having a reproductive organ that represents feminism or being female, and secondly, they believe that it's an anti-men agenda, or that we can't like men. No. And they also just have like these warped ideas and ideologies that have kind of like become such a little angry little grouping. It's like how smokers are currently and how everybody is now with the new alcohol ban. Like, everyone is just upset, everyone's just angry, everyone's irritated, people are getting divorced. It's like that little grouping of people. So I think it's best we unpack it. And also, I'm just here to add a few more voices because I'm tired of seeing men on this channel.
And Peter.
Your faces are boring.
All right.
So yeah, that's about it. But like, just to unpack what feminism is actually just a movement for equality and equity for the sexes. And it's not an exclusionary thing. So if you're transgender, or if you identify as a female or whatever else, you have every right to be feminist. I know that a lot of people are going to be very upset with me and saying, you can't say that because feminism, the first three letters is fem, which is female. No, it's not. If you identify as being female, you have every right to be feminist, quite frankly. I think that's the one thing a lot of people need to understand. And also, being a feminist doesn't mean you don't like men or you're anti-men. You can say men are trash with your chest, because men are the bottom of the barrel and then they ghetto. But you know what? At the end of the day, we choose this bottom of the barrels and we choose these ghettos, and we procreate and we do what we need to do. But at the end of the day, feminism is really just about the equality and equity of the sexes, and also to alter and change the language when it comes to men and women. But you guys will read my thesis on this, because I'm writing a thesis.
Oh, really?
And that is definitely it. But yeah.
All right, we'll send it to
definitely
us.
be worth more than Conrad Koch's social anthropology thesis.
Yo,
Woo!
I wait for the day that there's a Mikhail and Conrad, like not even roast, like just a discussion. Just let's not even call it a roast. Just let's have it out, guys. Like yo, it's deep, this thing. Go tense, go tricky, go wow between y'all. Yo, go tense between y'all.
All right,
I'm
so
gonna have that thing tattooed on my body.
Shab, it'll come up Chester missing.
I
Sorry.
think
That joke.
this is an opportunity.
Bad joke, sorry.
I
couldn't let it go. I couldn't let it go, guys. I couldn't let it go. Sorry. Anyway.
Oh,
sorry.
all right, so I think this is an opportunity for us to ask Queen any maybe myths that we've heard or anything like that. Like I do like to think that I support feminism, but I support, I think, what they call the first wave. I've heard it's called the first wave. I don't know, Queen, you'll need to correct me. But what I believe in feminism is the first time that it was or the first time the movement came to fruition, when they were fighting for equal the right to vote, the equality of pay, the right to be able to get a job, and basically the right for women to do what they want to do in the labor force and all that stuff. I'm 100% behind that. 100%, I agree with that. My issue comes in with the woke, where I don't know. I feel like they've done a lot to dilute the movement, if I can put it that way. I feel like they've done a lot to harm it, because, like you said, now there are some people that think like, oh, but now like it's a fight against men or whatever. I think the reason why people feel that way is because of the woke, the way that they've come up with all these minor definitions that fall under. They'll say, what's that? Masculine. What's it? Masculine.
Toxic masculinity.
Yes. Explain that. What exactly is that?
So this is what we have. So we've got a cliquey group of people who believe that they, as a collective, can take text and misinterpret it to suit their narrative. And this is when people become popular and they start tweeting or posting for clout and for relevance or whatever else. That's the issue. We've got a lot of people who come out and are like, yes, I'm this, yes, I'm that, and I'm pro this and I'm pro that. But under the same breath, they are the most problematic human beings ever. So you, like, for instance, if your feminism, I always say this, if your feminism is homophobic, it's not feminism. If your feminist disempowers and doesn't educate someone, it's not feminism at all. If your feminism has a negative aspect to it, and this is where the woke community comes in and so forth, then we've got a problem. Now, the issue with woke kids and these hyper activists and warriors and whatever else that live on social that actually don't do anything offline. This is the issue with them, is that they've created an identity on something that they don't even know themselves, because a lot of them, it's like the EFF and the ANC people that are quoting Karl Marx left, right, and center, they don't understand what it is that they're saying. It's like people are now saying the expropriation of land without compensation and so forth. People are throwing words around and phrases and whatnot without any understanding or recollection of what it is that they're actually saying. And that's where like the misinformation comes in and so forth. And this is what the woke community does. And I'll always say this, woke people or people that identify as woke don't know much. Woke people and people that identify as woke think that they know, but all they've done is that they've read one line and then they've used that as gospel. It's like me reading Genesis in the Bible and then all of a sudden saying that I'm a devout Christian. I don't know where Genesis fits in the Bible, whether it's Old and New Testament and so forth. Or I could easily just go watch CSI and tell myself that I'm a forensic anthropologist now because I've watched CSI. That is what woke people actually are. They are the bottom of the barrel, most loud and most, I can't say useless, because we need these kind of people in society in order for us to have engaging conversations, in order for us to be enlightened and to learn. Because in every society, there's always a byproduct, and woke people are the absolute byproduct of society. And we kind of like need them to feel for us to have conversations like this so that we can actually correct and address things in a civil manner. And woke people don't know how to be civil. They are vultures, they are savages. They are the most uncouth bunch of people who believe that they have every right to speak or to act in a particular way and whatever else. I'm gonna make this a little bit personal. Like for instance, Joe, you dealt with the Nikki notes. That is a perfect example of what a woke person is. And I'm going to say it with my chest. I know her. I've worked with her. I've seen her. She knows that I don't like her at all. And there's no love lost or anything like that. That scenario is a typical person of woke people and how toxic woke people are. She is the poster child of what wokeness represents and how to be woke and whatever else. That is the exact example of what it is. So there are different waves to feminism, yes. The first wave being the call before we had rights as women and so forth and whatever else. But as society evolves and so forth, so does the call. Yo, this is so deep.
No, go ahead.
So does like the call to kind of address, you know, what the current needs of women, because we still have issues of unequal pay.
Yeah.
Like we still have guys who are out there getting paid a whole lot of money for doing basic work, and then there's this little woman paid a most pathetic salary. Like we still have issues like that, and it also goes into race. Like even like there's an inequality in terms of pay scales with race and so forth. But the biggest one that is currently a main issue is it's gender. It's really gender based. Then we've got gender-based violence and whatever else. But like we could talk the whole night about this. But when it comes to feminism, wokeness does not have a space in feminism at all. And I'm going to say this with my chest. The people that are woke are actually the most problematic people that feel toxic masculinity, firstly. There's a bunch of people who are patriarchal princesses who will twirl and dance for the man. I said what I said, so they can fight me. My handle on Twitter is @Queen_Wordsmith. It's fine. I've got nothing to lose. I'm ready to fight. I'm in Cape Town if anybody wants to know where I live.
I love it.
Sounds like they're going to catch these hands if they try to do some shit. Well,
and I'm so ready. I'm sorry.
I don't know if I could add to that, Joe. Did you want to say something?
No, she answered my question. So next.
Okay. My thing with, because like I said, I understand the plight of feminism and understand what it's there for, and I like Joe said, I completely agree with it. What I think these social activist warriors have done that have very little information is they have made it very difficult to engage in conversations that I think as men, even if we are the perpetrators of why this movement had to happen to begin with. I mean, we wouldn't need movements like feminism or anything else for that matter that stands up for a certain right that has been oppressed if there wasn't the perpetrators of the oppression. You know what I'm saying? We wouldn't need we wouldn't need all of those things. But now what had happened is we got into a space now via the internet, via all the means that we have to be in discussions about maybe certain things that we didn't realize, because it doesn't mean that as guys we are all aware of all these things that might be an aggression towards you as a woman. It's not always that we are aware of everything, because we aren't. Just like women live in their own worlds about certain things, men live in their own worlds about certain things. We'll carry on doing things until somebody shows you and says, listen, when this and this happens, then you can be enlightened and be like, okay, I wasn't aware that my actions actually hurt you that deeply. I will touch. But now what has happened is that when men try to engage in actual, discussion, serious discussion, wanting to understand the facts and figures, wanting to understand why in certain instances women feel that way, what happens with these people is you just immediately get attacked. And attacked by these people. And there are a lot of people, they might be a small clique, but there are a lot of them that always just want to go for the attack. And their attack is just to fuel clout and everything like that, which makes it very difficult to engage. And if you don't engage, you never reach any kind of solution or any kind of way forward. You just stay there and refuse to engage it anyway, because you're like, if I'm going to engage but I'm always attacked but not willing to be properly engaged, the conversation can never go anywhere. You know what I mean? That's what I think. So I don't know what you have. Do you think, Wena Queen, do men have a space to talk in that in the feminist space, to engage, to try and understand what's going on there? Because most of the time it looks like we're not, and that's why we always feel like anything where we try to talk and we try to engage, we feel attacked?
Firstly, we can't be discussing amongst women and not bring men into the equation, because at the end of the day, like for instance, I'll use this as a perfect example. I have a kid, and it's a boy, and he needs to learn and he needs to understand that look, there's men and women, and there's like these gender roles. They're not going to happen. You're going to wash dishes, you're going to cook, and so forth, and it starts there. We need to get into a space whereby we actually have these conversations, because there's no other way. We can't expect men to just know. I'm sorry, like when it comes to intellect, men are not the smartest tools in the toolbox. I'm coming for your gender there, but you guys are not the smartest.
I use my Rust
we
to
need
try and
to
fix
start
my sink today, so. Sorry,
And we need to get into a space where we are able to engage on these conversations, and to do so in an educative manner, not to engage with people and to put them down and to expect people to know. Guys, men can never know everything under the sun, the same way women won't know anything under the sun. And that's why in a conducive environment, you teach one another. It's like there's certain things that I'm not going to know that I can do until a guy comes through and teaches me, and vice versa. And that's what we need to get into a space of. We need to get into a space where we're actually engaging with each other in a fruitful manner, and not always just shouting at each other and whatever else. Because when you're shouting, no one listens, no one hears you. No one wants to be shouted at.
Yeah, it's very true. All right, Mikhail, what do you got to say?
All right, I've used the time to steal my soapbox back from Obakeng, which he stole last week. So I have it back now. No, I'm going to be honest. I think a lot of what I'm going to say is going to add to what Queen said. Firstly, I'm going to say this outright, and a lot of people are going to be upset, but I'm going to at least expand onto why I say this. Firstly, I think honestly, men cannot at all be or sell themselves as feminists. I think we can definitely be allies, but we can't be feminists. We can definitely be allies, and we should be allies. And I think, as Queen mentioned, I think men should be more given the opportunity to have discussions with regards to things such as gender-based violence, rape culture, the glass ceiling that a lot of women experience in the corporate environment. And we do need to be called out on micro and macro aggressions, because I think, as with any social movement, I think a lot of people are naive when it comes to micro and macro aggressions, that they're not always sure that they are doing it. So I do feel that for men to be allies, we should definitely be allowed to come to the table and have these discussions and be educated, because those that are men that are open to it, that want to be allies, do need that information to, or should be helped along with the information. On the other hand, I also think men should make the effort to do some self-study as well. We can't every time wait for a feminist to force feed us information. I think we can also put in a bit of effort to go out and read about it ourselves. But yes, that's why I just want to expand it firstly, in that men can't be feminists. We never will be. It's the same as where I discussed last week, where white people will never clearly understand what, specifically in South African setting, what people of color went through. I don't think men will ever truly be able to understand what women have gone through. So rather educate us and help us be better allies. And I think it should also be on us to try and be better allies. But a man or someone who identifies as a man selling himself as a feminist, you're fucking not. It's like taking a cat and painting it orange and black and selling it as a tiger. It's not. It's never going to be.
They just want to get laid, those guys. All they want to do is get laid in the corners. I know them all. They just want some pussy when the cameras are shut off. When the cameras are shut off, all they want to do is get some pussy. Trust. They just want to bust a nut.
And then,
Ned, they will slide into your DMs on time. You know what, Ned? I'm so inspired by your feminism, and you're like, nah, nigga.
Why are you
Just
sliding
get
in
to
my
the
DMs to tell
point.
me something
And
I don't in public?
it's always like someone's dad that's like trying their luck there on some. Hey, girl, your feminism inspires me. Can your wife's feminism inspire you, maybe?
Oh shit.
Thanks.
I like that feminism on girl. That's some shit, I know. But anyway, Michael, you were saying.
And now finally we've gone through the potatoes. Now we can get to the meat of it. We discussed it in I think part 1 and part 2, mostly in part 2. That the woke and cancel culture. We've briefly discussed it, that they are very, very detrimental to feminism. And I think the first problem is, obviously Queen can correct me because she's busy writing a thesis on this. What a lot of these woke people don't understand is, from a political science point of view, feminism has always been perceived in a very, and rightly so, as a political movement rather than a social movement. If you look at the work that was done by suffragettes over 120, 140 years ago, that was very much a political movement. These were movements towards places such as British Parliament, asking for things like having the right to vote, having the right to work the same hours as men do, having the right to be given entry into occupations that men hold. This is very much a political movement. Now, I'm not saying that a social movement such as, for example, BLM cannot become politicized. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying at its core, feminism is a political ideology, and a lot of woke people don't do the effort to do the studying, as Queen said, and realize that there's a lot more foundational work to feminism. There's a lot more thinking and discussion behind feminism. And by purely knee-jerking and making this buzzword social movement, you are taking away very much the people that had the eureka moment 100 years ago, 120 years ago, about this is a political movement. This needs to gain traction within spheres of politics, because that's where you can start, because these are the people that are the lawmakers with regards to such as women experiencing a glass ceiling. If you just purely social movement this, it's going to have a lot of good and bad effects, but the point being is it's a political movement. A lot of what women and feminists want can really, truly, hopefully be implemented in the political and in the judicial sphere. So these woke people don't understand it. They purely think that if they go march, they're going to make a difference. No, feminism is like any other political ideology, whether it's capitalism, whether it's communism, whether it's nationalism, fascism. You need to truly understand it from an academic point of view. To really help the cause. You have to, because it's so much more than a social movement, and has always been so much more than a social movement. And I feel, and I mentioned this, the main culprit in woke culture is very much of what they deem to be fourth wave feminists. These knee-jerking people that go onto Twitter and come across either as anti-men or just they are anti-men. That they do more damage than they do good. For example, what Queen is doing with her thesis is a lot more helpful than some psychotic idiot in the street shouting that all men need to go to hell. Queen is making a difference in the academic sphere, and it will filter down. My wife is very much a feminist, and she's doing a PhD on social military history, specifically the role of South African women during the Second World War within the military. And I like to brag with what she's doing. She's, from her point of view in her field in South Africa, she's truly one of the first people to do what she's doing. These people like my wife, people like Queen, and many other academics, and people within business circles and people within social circles, what they are doing for feminism carries a lot more weight, because there's a legacy to be grown from it. What they are doing will inspire feminists in future, not only in how they should study the situation, how they should handle the situation, how they should voice their opinions, but it inspires more feminists in future to do it. I can't really say the correct way, but in a very much not a woke way. So I honestly think people like my wife and Queen and many other academics are more important towards feminism in the early 21st century than some once again middle-class housewife at home climbing on her soapbox and shouting, yeah, but men this and men this. You're not helping the case. You are polarizing, as what the woke do with regards to things such as BLM and transgender rights and homosexual rights. They're polarizing people that could have possibly been allies for feminism into avoiding it. Because unfortunately, as with anything in life, the small rhetoric with the loudest voices are usually the ones heard. Unfortunately, on places like social media, because the normal guy on the street or the normal gal on the street aren't willing to go and read further than a hashtag and a catchy phrase with regards to feminism, and they're causing a lot more damage. I think there are a lot of moderate and conservative with regards to feminism men that would be willing to come to the table and discuss this and be educated and possibly help use their male privilege, so to speak, to be allies to women within the workplace, within politics, within sport. But the woke with their loud voices, but they aren't saying anything, are not helping. And that means people like Queen and my wife and various other people have to fight 3 times, not twice as hard, 3-4 times as hard as they did yesterday to try and make the difference they're doing, because that's how dangerous and how detrimental woke culture is towards feminism and creating possible allies for feminism.
Once again, a brilliant speech from Mikhail, brought to you by Afriform.
Can we follow your wife on Instagram and retweet, because these are the people that we need.
Tired of friends that I have, I need new friends.
And the other thing that I think, as you said, and I think in this panel right now, we greatly agree with each other. But I think what these people have done, maybe I'm saying what has already been said in.
Speaking from me, why are we saying we greatly agree? Don't do that. Don't be.
Look. We understand. Mamela,
don't be like the ANC. Don't be like the ANC.
You misogynist. You have assumed that you can speak on her behalf.
There I go now. There I go mansplaining the whole thing. No, okay. Okay, can I say?
Where all my woke? All my woke people are happy to take you guys.
Yeah. You know when you think you're running on the commons and then you step in shit? This is exactly what just happened. So what I think is that now there are people that are doing real work. Okay, there are people that are doing that have arguments, that have valid arguments, and there are many of them that have very valid arguments. But because now there's all these people that are making unnecessary noise, and there are so many of them that are that the unnecessary noise is getting a lot more traction, a lot more popularity than the discussions that needs to be had. The minute someone who has a valid something to say, right, engages in conversation at any point, immediately they get associated with everyone else that is out here making noise. So now, even now, when you get into a space where, as a woman, you have to you start voicing and raising and presenting all the facts that you have about how fucked up shit is, no one from the other side is willing to listen, because all they've heard is vitriol the whole way through. You know what I mean? All they've heard is vitriol the whole way through. And just like humans do, the minute you see a pattern from a million different people, you immediately assume that the minute someone mentions feminism, this is what they're talking about. This is the kind of person that they are. I'm not going to listen to this bullshit. Fuck what you heard. I'm out. Right? And
Can I just say something?
Yeah.
Sorry. Can we stop calling these little woke people a culture, and stop calling it culture, because culture involves human intellect, and there's no intellect there when it comes to woke culture and those people. Can we just stop? I have a deep love for the word culture, and woke people do not deserve such a word in that regard. Let's start there. So yeah. We can call them toddlers. We can call, actually, toddlers are also intellectual, so sorry, they can't get that. We can call them embryos.
Embryos?
No,
No,
but
no,
also
no.
smart. So,
Why don't we just
take
call
the
it as it
movement.
is? Call it a
No
cult.
doubt.
Let's just call it a
But-
cult.
A woke cult.
But they-
cult, thank you.
Yeah.
A woke
they
cult.
take
Because
the
you don't
movement.
need a
It's the
brain to be in a cult.
Yeah. It's the
Don't,
same. It's the
thanks,
thing
thanks.
with people like, for example, when a BLM protest or any kind of real real protest is happening, and you get people that take advantage of the space and, I don't know, go loot or whatever the case may be. They take advantage of what's happening, and these are the people that are literally doing that. They take advantage of what's happening and they use it to their advantage for nothing else but clout. You know what I mean? Because now what has happened is that there's a lot of people that are in these what do you call them now, Cindy? What do you call them?
Cult.
Embryos. There are a lot of these culty embryos that now
Cults,
Cult.
embryos are
Woke
smart.
cult.
They're cults now. Embryos
Yeah,
are
They're
smart.
cults. They're
actually.
Woke
purely just
cult.
cults.
okay, there's a lot of these woke cunts, right?
There we go. There we go.
Right? We've just getting, because now we are cunts. Let's put it right there, right? Now what they have done is is they are developing a personality around this thing. So all they're doing it for is for social clout. Because if you are one person that's willing to back your shit up, like you said, Sanlisa, you should be able to get off Twitter and see me in person and say the shit that you were saying. But none of them are willing to do that, because what they're doing now is building a cool factor or a persona around this movement, which most of the time they don't have enough information about, and they're not willing to engage on any other platform besides what is seen on social media, because over and above that they have nothing. They have literally nothing.
It's like John stays in Parliament. I have a whole politics degree, and that guy's out there without even having a matric, and he's saying things with his chest, speaking on policies that he knows nothing about. They didn't cover policies in matric, by the way, but here we are.
Well, we'll leave that for another discussion. But let's try and stay on point.
I said what I said.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
can
yeah.
block me and unblock me again.
No, I have no problem with what you said. I'm just saying, let's stick to the actual topic. We'll have you back on another show to discuss John. So
The John Show. Funny you used to say that, John. Actually, that's what you call it. Funny you used to say that, John. Featuring Wordsmith and John Steinhazen.
I would just like to add, I think most people in Parliament have no idea how politics work. I also had politics at university, and then I watched Parliament. I'm like, but that's not how it works.
yeah, it's also true.
How?
Hey, I was also part of the struggle there, Amandla comrades. That's what they believe is politics, but okay, here we are.
Oh, the 5 to 12ers.
Yeah.
Like it's people that have no skill, that have like apart from them being in office because of we're going into those things, but apart of them being in office because of cater deployment, is the same thing with these cunts that we've been talking about.
Yeah, it's cunt
apart
deployment.
from them being online for just pushing clout on subjects they have no real knowledge of, besides a few articles that they've read. Away from that, they have no actual skill. No, you know what I mean. They have no actual skill. They have no actual contribution that they can say, that they can show and say, this is actually what I can do, what I'm good at. Blah 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 blah.
Did they read?
No.
Did they read? That is the question. Did they read?
All right,
Because
so
no
If
reading
you've
took place there.
read, it's easy for you to back your shit up because you have facts.
Yeah.
And you have, or at least you have.
No,
research.
what they've done is, can I tell you something? These woke feminists, what they did, they listened to Beyonce is Flawless. And there's a part where Chimamanda makes a speech, they would teach girls to shrink themselves. They took that part and they're like, yeah, this is it. This is feminism. I'm going to run with this. Then all of a sudden, everybody was busy quoting who teach girls to shrink themselves. And I'm like, okay, sweetie, did you ever bother to read the rest or to hear the rest of the TED Talk? But here you are saying things with your chest here. You guys are being so anti-sectionalist and whatever else because now I've been told to shrink myself. No, honey, there's a difference between you actually having a weight problem and having to lose weight for your health and actually having a man tell you that you're not my type because you're big. Like, can we just, but okay, here we are. We're dealing with people that don't read read lyrics. Reading lyrics does not mean that you are wild.
Wow.
Yeah, no,
Awesome.
the minute someone comes to a discussion, it's like what Beyonce said. You're like, oh shit.
Because I want to definitely add here. Firstly, woke
It's
people
like when
can
Nas said
read.
fuck Jay-Z, you know, when Nas said fuck Jay-Z. He had a point. Okay, anyway, sorry, Mikael.
No, it's fine. Firstly, I just want to quickly help everyone. Woke people can read. It's called pop-up books. So there is a form of visual literacy at least. So Queen, if you have any ideas for your thesis, maybe a pop-up book for the woke people, it might help. I'll also see if my wife is willing to do her research in a pop-up book. It's going to be a fucking thick one, but it might help. And then the thing is, Overking, I want to add to what you said. I think firstly, no, I don't think. I'm going to say it out straight. Firstly, people that are woke are egotistical cowards. I'm calling it straight. They are driven by ego, but hide behind pseudonyms on social media. And I think most of us have said this not only tonight but before, and especially we've spoken about it last week in comedy circles as well. It's a lot easier being brave while you're eating your hot pockets and butt fucking your keyboard at home than standing in front of someone and saying it up straight. So it's purely ego and cowardice. And secondly, Overking, I agree very much with what you said, and obviously, Queen, please interject if there's a disagreement or not. As much as, sadly, feminists that are really trying to make a difference are put into the same camp as these woke idiots. On the other hand, it goes the other way as well. People like Queen and my wife could possibly be seen as traitors by these woke feminists because how dare you try and speak to the other side? How dare you try and educate them in this sort of manner? So I feel then sorry for feminists and allies to feminism as well due to this woke cult movement that's happening, because the difference they could make is being stopped by people that are supposed to be on their side.
This is why that's why the cult doesn't suit them, because intellect is not within the school and trend. So the cult would suit, because what they're like a bunch of clackers in high school where it's the cool kids here who have an opinion and think that their opinion is gold and this is it. So we're just going to listen to the cool kids. That's the thing. They're a bunch of bullies. And it's always the ones that were bullied in high school that come through now on social media and say things with their chest and act all wild and loud here. But it's fine. We'll get a psychologist to do them. But it's literally those type of people. They come through with this gang mentality and this little grouping, and then they come there and they just make this whole huge noise. Because I've had a lot of famous feminists come at me. I'm talking about people here with verified Twitter accounts and whatever else who have come at me and, have said, you are such an anti-feminist, simply because I was like, there was a guy that was wrongfully accused of a crime that he didn't commit, and I stood by him because I knew what was happening offline, and I knew of the legal matters and whatever else, and I knew the content and so forth, and obviously matter, and I couldn't obviously divulge. And also, I'm not out there to treat people's personal lives to get RTs and to get famous and so forth. And this girl, she actually called me out and was like, "You're a traitor, hey, blah 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 blah." And I asked her to explain what and how. First of all, I'm being a traitor, and what form of feminism is she therefore enacting in this way? She blocked me, and I was like, "Okay, Shab, another one. You are just there with Helen Ziller, who's also blocked me. It's fine." I'm just going to continue with life. It is what it is. And when I had actually met her, it's so strange. I met her at the airport and I was like, do you remember me? And I said it with my chest because I was just like, yeah, you're going to learn today. Your followers are not here. It's just me and you. And I'm coming for you. I got my hair done. I got my nails on. I've got my wig on. And I look exactly like my profile picture on Twitter. She didn't. And I was like, do you remember me? And people first of all, you didn't build your face, you didn't reconstruct it in there and contour and whatever else. So, okay, so this is what you look like. Second of all, you blocked me on Twitter for calling me out and whatever. And she's like, no, you mustn't take it personal. I'm like, no, I'm going to take it personal because now you're out here saying things with your chest and calling yourself a feminist and you're behaving like this. I have a problem with people like you. And she unblocked me and she apologized. And I was like, I don't want your apology. Don't come here and apologize because you're scared when I meet one and whatever else. And she blocked me again. And I was like, this girl, she thinks I don't have energy. And I remember tweeting her because she would block and unblock and she'd read my tweets and she'd wait for me to say something about her. And then she'd respond and then block me. And she used to do that for quite some time. And I said to her, man, you are a mother of two. Get a life, like honest, and please read. And I sent her a parent audition. And that also included videos and whatever else. And I was like, please read to empower yourself. And I'm not doing this for you anymore because it's late for you. I'm doing it for your kids now because no child wants to have a mom in the 21st century who's ignorant. So just read up here. And also here's some nice little videos just in case you can't read more than a couple of pages. And I was like, God bless. That's what I said. I said, God bless and blessings to your ancestors or whatever. And that was it. And the funny thing is that about 2 weeks ago, she called me and she needed my help. And I was like, help me? No, go to your little feminist allies and tell them first that you got things wrong, whatever else, and then come to me for help. Otherwise, you can get your help from Jesus. I'm sorry. Go get your help from the carpenter.
All right, so...
Well, Queen, Queen, whether you want it or not, I think you've received tenure at the Comedy Club College of Knowledge because she clearly knows how to learn you good. So we definitely have another lecturer on our academic panel. So
yeah, I just want to get to some of the comments here. We've been neglecting them a little bit, and then I've got another point I want to raise about woke and feminism. So when we were talking about politics and stuff, Ruan Vandervalt, who by the way, go subscribe to their channel, No Script Show. They recently had a philosopher talking about feminism as well and the faults of the woke and feminism. Dr. Harley, a very fascinating conversation. So Ruan says, Parliament is basically a bunch of unqualified politicians, majors, which is just about as important as having a degree in gender studies. Interesting statement. And I think a lot of us would agree with that. And he also, then there were some woke jokes that were going around in the comments, but Donwin says, fact, woke is about people trying to be heard on social stands when their views are narrowed to whatever they believe and won't allow any input to have another view. Yep, that's exactly correct. I agree with that 100%.
Hey, Donnie said something smart. Well done, Donnie.
Yeah, it's your friend. And
He's going to so hate me tomorrow morning.
I'm sorry if I mispronounced this. Yomi Papu, who is new to my channel, thank you so much for tuning in. Y'all ain't got no chill. Yeah, we're being honest. That's what's happening.
Yeah. If you want chill, go on Dylan Olifant's Twitter feed.
Ooh.
Oh my God.
All right, so.
No. Okay.
Wait.
Yeah.
So I wanted to raise another concern, if I can put it that way. When it comes to dating, Queen, I feel bad. Like, I'm married, Mikhail's married, Obaking's single. Okay. I think for a single man, in the current climate that we're in with this whole feminism that's happening now and the extreme woke cult that is happening now, I'll give you an example. So in the interview with that I mentioned now with Dr. Harley, she was saying how like there's some circles women or men feel that they have to ask permission to kiss a woman. They have to ask permission to take off the bra. They have to ask permission to do certain things because they don't want to offend the woman. I wanted to ask, have you experienced this? And it's fine if you haven't, but what's your view on that? Do you think that men need to be that cautious with women?
First of all, consent is definitely a thing. Let's not get it twisted here
Yeah.
because right now on Black Twitter again, I keep getting blocked. I don't know why, guys. I have a small account. I only have like 3,000 followers, but they keep blocking me. But I called somebody out simply because one, he said that silence was consent, and I'm like, how is silence consent when we are dealing with masses of gender-based violence and we've got like women who are being raped and killed here, but okay, and all that woman could have been muffled, so how can she be giving consent in the first place? But I was like, okay, fine. Consent is a must. And also I think you need to understand and listen to cues and telltale signs also, because it could be hot and heavy here and things are going so right with somebody, and next thing you know, I'm like, the time is not right. When I say or when I give an indication or whatever else, listen to that. It's not like there's someone who's going to be silent. You can even feel it, like if the blood was warm and then suddenly it's cold, stop. Whoa, and also there's nothing more sexy than a man that asks for consent, guys. I'm not gonna lie to you. On how to get girls and whatever else, or how to get a wife, but there's nothing more attractive than a man who asks for it. It's not yours, hey? I just want you to know this is and it's not ours, it's not the communities and whatever else. Even if I am the village bicycle, that's none of your business, because at the end of the day, it's attached to my body, not our body. So what I do and who I allow in and what I put in there, that is none of your business. That's my business. You must consent. You don't walk into someone's house, you knock. Don't be a thief. Thieves don't knock. There's never a polite thief that's going to be like, knock, knock, I'm coming in to steal or whatever. No, that homie comes in, breaks the glass, comes in there, takes whatever he needs to take, and then he's out. That's the same thing. You need to, and people need to understand this, because it's like now everybody's in a relationship because we assume that we are in a relationship. And then now people get mad and upset, and G-Wagons are being keyed left, right, and center here and whatever else because of assumptions. And that's what people really, really need to understand, that is consent is one thing that is lacking in society as a whole. And people just think that they can take whatever it is that they want to take. No, you can't take it. It's not ours, it's mine. And especially when it comes to kissing, whatever else. You may think that just because we're hugging, you can kiss me. No, Budi, I could have been hugging you with the power of Christ and the power of whoever else, and here you out here coming with the power of lust and Satan, and they're not corresponding at all. So that's what people really, really need to understand, that concept. I'm not laughing because it's funny, because it's funny because there's a lot of guys who just think that they can come through. Like, I actually had an incident today, come to think of it. I was at Highlands, and a car guard was like trying to mac on me, and I was like, please, just because I have short hair and my body type is like this, please notice that I have car keys, that therefore that means I have a type. Don't think that you are my type, please, sir. Poverty is not my portion. Like, please, and this is the thing, like, men have become so accustomed to think that just because a plus size woman comes through or whatever, that they can actually come up and think that we're that desperate. No, we've got types too, FYI. And my type is wealthy, and if you're not going to be my type, and this the thing, it starts with these little things. Like, it's funny, yes, now, but like, I'm thinking to myself, how dare he disrespect? He doesn't even know who I am, and just because I was wearing a mask, now jiggy, he thinks that he can come through and act fresh.
Yeah.
So yeah, consent is definitely a thing. I will always advocate for consent at all times.
Yeah, I agree with consent. Obviously, I mean, I was very cautious with my wife when we started dating and stuff. But I think it's also like I think it's a number of things. I think it's the way you've been raised as a man, because my mom always taught me, be a gentleman, open the door for a woman, that kind of stuff, chivalry. But I think that's more where I was going at, is that some women complain that chivalry is dead, right? And I think that the woke feminists are what killed it, because there are men that, like, I know when I was dating now, like before I got married, I didn't know if a woman wanted me to open the door. So they would complain that I didn't open the door, but then when I opened the door, they're like, "Oh, I don't need a man to open the door for me." It's a bit
Yeah.
confusing. That's what
Also,
I'm.
please, so this is the thing. You people are allowed to be confused in terms of and when I say people, I mean men. Men will get confused because what works for me won't work for the next woman, and that's another thing that we need to kind of like get into the habit of discussing. I don't want a man to open the door for me. Thank you very much. I don't do it. There are different, and this is where communication of the sexes should happen. We are meant to communicate these things because you're not going to know. And this thing of that, there's a basic assumption that men have to do this and whatever else. It's problematic itself. And I'm going to say this because a lot of men, and we don't discuss this, a lot of men fall to mental health issues and depressions, whatever, because of the pressures that society puts on them. And I joke, I know for a fact that I've said this on Twitter, and people can and check my tweets and whatever. I've said this on Twitter, and I've providers. And now when men, it's kind of like awkward. I have lived personally in a household that has been just dominated by females. Any man that comes in, it's a relative. So you come in here, you add your testosterone for a couple of hours and you leave. It's estrogen that runs this household, and it will always be the case. And even then, so when a guy tries to provide, I'm like, why are you providing for me? Because now I can provide for myself. And also, this is how men become disrespectful, because they think just because they bought me 3 bundles of 18-inch Peruvian hair, now you can tell me how to be. No, can get my own 24-inch. Thank you very much. So keep your young little 18-inch there, and just leave me to it. But that's the thing. It's those type of things. It's like that conditioning that we have, and also we need to understand that society evolves, it changes. Whoa, George just almost left me there. I can't believe I studied English in varsity for me to speak broken English. So society evolves and changes, and in doing so, what works for your ex is not going to work for your wife, and that's what needs to be communicated, because people need to be in a space where they communicate. Like, for instance, if hypothetically speaking, I am in a relationship with somebody, I will communicate. I don't like those being open for me. I don't like this being done for me. I don't like this being done for me. I like flowers, and I know that Net Florist always has a special on roses, for instance, every other month, and it's 170 for like, you communicate these things. You let people know. The same way, I'm not going to assume that you want for your birthday.
Yeah, fair enough. And I agree. I agree with that. I really think, I've always said, even with my relationships that I've had and my wife now, and luckily we both believe in communication. We've been communicating, like, we still have long hours of discussions about philosophy and ideologies and how to treat one another and stuff like that. We're very open when it comes to that. And I believe, there's a comment here from Leslie saying, communication, verbal and nonverbal, also emotional intelligence goes a long way, and I agree wholeheartedly with that, and I'm glad you brought that up, Queen, because I think that's one of the things. I think there is some form of when a man gets raised or a boy gets raised. My mom was very much, like I said, treat a woman like this, and also communicate. My dad also said it, like, communicate with your partner. Don't be afraid. Like, if they don't accept it, then you need to know that as well. If they don't accept something, you need to know that. So I'm glad we covered that part. And we have 7 minutes left, so I don't know if you want to go to comments or if anybody has something they want to add or say.
I wanted to add something real quick.
All right.
Don't you guys think? Well, this is coming a little bit back to what we were talking about earlier, because I think with what we've discussed now, with the social cues between men and women, I greatly agree with what you said, and I support that 100%. Don't you think that these mobs that we have online that we were talking about earlier, they've been given so much power that they think they have that power. Because the one thing that I've also seen is corporates that will just buckle at the sheer mention of something that has not even been verified yet. You know what I'm saying? They buckle really quickly, and then now somebody that's sitting at their for example, let's say the recent thing that just happened with Leon Schuster. I'm going to mention that, right? His movies have been showing forever and nobody had a problem with it, whatever. Now that issue gets raised now where it's suddenly a blackface thing, this and that and the other. And all of a sudden, you see a company like MultiChoice pulling his movies from their log without having confirmed anything. Just immediately when there's any kind of fire, people like these corporates buckle and then they cancel people.
I'm going to step in and correct you there.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm going to do this for the blackface topic has actually been going on for a very long time, and Leon Schuster, and we're wasting time here, but I'm just gonna give you the crux of it. Leon Schuster was educated and he was informed on blackface and whatever else. In fact, there was, I think, Outsurance had a Dolores character that was played by a guy, Dave, or whoever his name was, who played multiple characters and whatever else. Blackface should be a topic on its own that should be discussed.
Okay, cool.
But the call was actually heeded after multiple discussions, and it was a courageous conversation, as I would put it, whereby it was informative and it was educational. It was not something that just sprung up overnight and whatever else. This has been a conversation that has actually been held for a very long time. And the importance of educating was because this is how a lot of marketing companies and a lot of agencies, especially Cape Town-based agencies, and I'm saying this with my chest, who have taken things whereby they've used what Leon Schuster's and your Outsurances and whatever, and they thought it was okay to put.
Okay, I get that.
Touch workers and whatever else were definitely more than that, and we need to kind of like break away from that narrative.
Okay,
that
no,
is
I completely agree.
I'm going to interject here because I'm not done. I know you weren't done either, but I'm not done either. But I hear what you're trying to say, and I know what you're trying to say is how when woke people come and attack brands and whatever else on social media, and then brands just panic and buckle to the pressure and act. I'll give you a perfect example. So when they apparently gave out care packs to influencers after this old tweet from this girl who was running for Miss South Africa was found when she was 14, where she N-word and whatever else, and she made a lot of racist remarks as a 14-year-old. So they then sent her a care package and whatever else, and even there, Sobe was called out and whatever else. They buckled in the form of offering an apology, but it didn't prevent sales from happening. There are black people who I saw at Sobe's today, so it didn't do much. So woke people, they do enforce social pressure, but the reality is that offline, social pressure doesn't exist. If Sobe was cancelled on Twitter, bet everybody was filling up at Sobe the moment it was opened.
But that's okay, cool. And
wokeness as much as influence, but it's only social based. And even then, Leon Schuster's still making royalties and whatever else. It's not like they stopped his coin completely. The issue then is, sorry, once again, I'm going to say this, where like April came for Joe and completely stopped his income. That is where we have an issue. It's when people think that they can run their mouths on social and have opinions and whatever else and be destructive in the process. That's where we draw the line. Calling for people to get fired or whatever. Call for people to get fired if you can back it up and if you have proof. Don't call for people to get fired based on allegations.
That's what I was coming to.
I know that this is like the worst thing that I will say and whatever else. If someone is alleged to be a perpetrator, I'm not going to say justice take its course, because I'll always jump in, I'll always believe a victim. But when it comes to everything else, brands cannot act and be in the defense quickly just because woke people decided that F&B must fire an alleged rapist, for example. No. The whole court process and whatever else needs to take place and whatever else, and then F&B can make an informed decision, because F&B at the end of the day, that guy can turn around and be like, you guys fired me based on an allegation, and look, I won a court case on a technicality Also, just because you win a court case on a technicality doesn't mean that you didn't do it or whatever else. And I'm saying this because there's a lot of men right now on the internet who are referencing a case in East London where a former NMMU or NMU student was let go, and he was a law student, was let go on a rape charge simply because the victim of the rape was too drunk to account and to narrate everything that happened. And now men, black men specifically, and I'm going to do this because my weakness in men is also my biggest disappointment, because they're the ones that are running their mouths and they're saying things with their chest that, hey, look, she falsely accused the guy. She didn't falsely accuse this guy. She accused this guy. Yes, it went to court, but he got off on a technicality. And please, this is where woke people get it twisted. Woke people read the summary of a judgment and they think that they know the whole case. You don't know shit. I'm going to say this, you don't know shit. You read the pages and you get informed, and you'll see chances are out of the 12 pages of that case, page 11 will actually have the juice. Read to get the juice. You read Daniel Steele's books growing up to get to the 50 Shades part, which is always in like 3/4 into the book where the sex scenes comes in. Have that same patience to read those sex scenes in the Daniel Steele book 3/4 in when it comes to reading judgments and to get your facts right. Phew, I'm done.
But okay, cool. Good. And thank you for correcting me with on that feature. But I'm just saying, like, when some of these corporates like would buckle under, you know, campaigns or whatever it is, these people feel like they have that power. You know what I mean? They've been given that. They feel like they have that power to get somebody fired. Like how Nikki came for Joe. She felt she had that power to do that because of whatever clout that she I don't know whatever the fuck she does, but for whatever clout that she has backing her, which solely she doesn't have. But they feel like they have the power to get you off of whatever it is, your means of income, your business, your endorsements or whatever. And in most cases it does happen. And this is somebody that's sitting on their phones just tweeting shit. It does happen. And now the people on the other side, like whoever that decided that they're not going to give you the job, Joe, they buckled because of what Nikki said without even interrogating whatever that's happened there. To a degree, that's their fault. You know what I mean? That is their fault. They decided to protect their brand and not go with you, not knowing exactly what's going on, because they're like, this guy's associated with whatever. We're not going to go with him. Being very ill-informed themselves. And the minute they did that, they gave her power. Because otherwise, if they didn't, it wouldn't have gone that far.
Yeah. I'm sorry, but
most of them have been given unnecessary power.
Queen does have to go. She did warn us and say that she had to leave at 9:30. But so before you go, Queen, I think we'll continue the conversation, so you can just exit. But before you go, I just want to say thank you so much for joining us tonight and giving us so much insight, and your opinions and everything is greatly welcomed. And I hope you'll come back if you find another topic that you want to talk about.
Obviously, I'm here to balance the gender. We can't have sausage first here. Let's add some Viennas.
All right, so if you want, you can say something in 30 seconds, or you can just sign off. We'll continue the show for just a little bit.
Hi guys, thanks for watching my YouTube channel. I have no idea. I didn't prepare to sign in and sign out. Sorry, I'm not an influencer. It's not my portion. Poverty is not my portion.
That's all right. All right, cool.
All right.
And then we will see.
Deuces, Queen.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Wouldn't have had her if it wasn't for me, because she's my friend. Now she's here. I'm grabbing brownie points now. There we go. Okay, fuck. Now I just
all right. So in closing, I would just want to say, I want to go to some of the comments that came in. People are asking for her not to go. But the thing is, guys, she does have a child that she needs to put to bed. So we were under a strict. She warned us before we went on air. She will leave at 9:30 no matter what. So we respect that. Yeah, that was Queen, ladies and gentlemen. She was awesome. I'm just going to go to some of the comments here. Leslie saying that cancel culture is another topic on its own. The same woke folks then also buckle and forget what they were standing for. Yeah, that's true. Woke folk or woke cult at times don't have a backbone. Yeah, absolutely. So, Ruan was asking a question. He wanted to know, Mikhail, are you smoking illicit cigarettes?
I cannot confirm nor deny that. To my recollection,
Cigarettes don't expire.
No, they don't
Mikhail
expire.
could have bought these cigarettes 5 months ago and he still has stock. Maybe smokes once a day during the show. Why are you asking these kind of things? And also, why are you out here, whoever you are, trying to be a snitch? What's your problem? Actually, it doesn't bother you. You're not gonna get cancer from the feed or secondhand smoking. By the way, Mikhail is my friend.
I choose not to speak without my legal counsel.
Yes, please.
Who's Oba King? All right, so Ruan says again, we speak about the issues of both sides of the believe the victim on our last podcast. It's difficult to balance. Yes, they did. The whole believe the victim thing is an interesting topic, and maybe we can continue the topic in the future. I will rewatch as well. I missed about 30 minutes. Kung Fu Kenny saying, yeah, please rewatch. All right, so there's not a lot of questions. I think a lot of people agreed with what we were saying. I don't know if some people might feel triggered at some of the things that we said, but that's fine. This is a forum or a channel where we allow open discussion. And for those of you that haven't heard of Queen and want to know more, want to follow her, please go do so. Her link to her Twitter account is in the description below, so you can go and follow her. I don't know if Queen's going to be watching this right now, but thank you once again, Queen, for being a part of this, and we will have you back in the future. All right. So, guys, is there anything you want to add, or should we just close it?
I would like to add something.
Okay.
I'll try to make it short and quick. I think what Oba King mentioned earlier about this apparent power they have in the corporate sphere. I'm going to make this very simple. I think, by extension, woke people or the cult is guilty very much of virtue signaling without having the necessary understanding or education behind whatever they think they're virtue signaling. And I'll try and elaborate very quickly. And by extension of this virtue signaling, they are acting very much fascist, speaking on behalf of everyone without asking for their opinions. For example, tonight's comments, tonight's topic, these woke feminists, these fourth wave feminists choose to speak on behalf of feminists that are truly laying down the groundwork, and what they are doing is not much different from what the majority of people that followed into this euphoria of Nazi Germany. Instead of asking truly, are Jews the scapegoats, they just went, Jews are scapegoats. How is what the woke are doing now different from what was done 75 years ago? And you can't go, no, but you can't call woke people fascists. From a political science perspective, by definition, you are acting fascist. You have taken an example of a group of people, you have judged and juried and executed them without doing the necessary research, without actually asking the people in those circles whether this is true, because it helps and agrees with this tsunami narrative that's going across. So woke people virtue signaling and jumping on their high horse and shouting cancel from the top of the mountaintops without actually conferring with people such as Queen, such as my wife, such as academics and people in social movements that are truly trying to fight for feminism. You being fascist, you truly being fascist. You are not much of maybe a step behind what truly fascist movements such as Benito Mussolini in Italy and Adolf Hitler in Germany did. You very much in the same grouping. The only difference is you haven't hurt someone physically yet.
Yeah.
It's always the hardest thing to do, man. The real work against what you stand for is actually the hardest thing to do, and most people actually don't stand for anything. Most of those people don't really stand for anything. They stand for what's popular, because if you have a vested interest in any kind of thing you beat your chest about and say I stand for this, whether it's for equal rights, whether it's for gender rights, whether it's for whatever it is, the crux of it is you have to do the work to back your statement up, and you have to have reasons, and have done critical work on that, and that is the part that nobody wants to do. None of these people would want to do, even with the people that they highly quote from, as Queen said, from like Chimamanda quoting something that they heard on Beyonce. They would not even go and read that same person's book that they claim to support. They will not go and read that person's book, whom they favor, but they won't go and read the book. You know what I mean? So nobody wants to do the hard work. So it's easy to climb on a bandwagon and say, this is what I stand for, but you have no clear knowledge of what it is that you stand for.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so final comments that are coming in that I'm going to read, and then we're going to sign off. Rowan Vandervolt saying, like when people say the Soviet Union was against Nazi Germany, yet at one point they were allies, and Nazi Germany policies were basically Marxist and socialist policies. And then Vinco Soldo says, Joe Emilio, would you agree with the statement, feminism, in quotation marks, feminism is cancer? No, I will not agree with that. Because again...
wokeness is cancer.
Exactly. You took the words right out of my mouth.
It's also a Meatloaf song.
Yes.
And it just...
Yeah,
and it just sucks how this word that was once positive, believe it or not, this woke word, it was once positive. I mean, Blue Moons ago, it was once positive, has been tainted and discredited and being made to what it is right now, that we're actually viewing it in this kind of discussion, because largely how we've been referring to this word, it's very negative, and so it should be, because people have made it to be this.
Yeah.
Because it was actually, as a word and as a movement, when it started years ago, it was actually a very, very positive word to say, because it was being aware of of the spaces of everything that's happening around you, just being aware. But yeah, now look at what has become, because of people that share things and without context and just go on the attack.
Yeah, I think...
but that's applicable
tainted.
to everything.
Yeah, that is applicable to everything. I think moving forward, I'm definitely going to call it or woke. I'm going to call it woke cult. I couldn't agree more with what we learned today about that. And speaking of that, Queen Wordsmith giving her final comments here. Bummed I had to leave. Thank you to everyone who tuned in. Love and light. Thank you once again, Queen Wordsmith, for being such a great sport and coming on and enlightening us once again. It was great having you. All right, so on that note, guys, I really enjoyed this conversation. I think it's a conversation that needed to be had. I hope that our viewers learned something tonight. And I know that there's more to talk about on this topic, so we probably will. We will have Queen back, and we'll probably continue the discussion if there's anything we missed. We'll see how it goes. But once again, thank you, Queen. Thank you, Mikhail. Thank you, Oba King. And before I go, very quickly, we will be back here tomorrow evening at 7 p.m. Sorry, 7 p.m. Continuing the funny you should say that conversation. But this time we are going to have Mikhail, Vanner, and Peter, as well as Rowan Clegg on the show. We're going to be talking about free online gigs, because Rowan the other night kind of made a fuss, and now we are going to discuss that, and we'll probably get into other things about comedy as well. So we're going to be discussing that at 7 p.m. Tomorrow evening, so please come join for that. And I will be doing my sit-down and lockdown show at 8:30. Well, I will actually have Peter's brother on the show, and we're going to have a nice, fun evening chatting to him and about his music career. So please come tune into that. Other than that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys so much to everyone who tuned in. You guys are awesome. Thank you for all the comments. Thank you for liking. Subscribe to my channel if you're new to my channel. And we'll see you at the next one, ladies and gentlemen. Stay safe and enjoy your evening. Hey guys, if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like and a share. That's how my content gets out there. Also, don't be afraid to comment. I usually do respond to the comments in the comment section below. If you want to support my channel, please go to the link in the description below, support my channel, and you'll be taken to my website, which has all the details. Also, if you're new to my channel, please subscribe. Also, feel free to check out the links below to my social media accounts. Give me a follow, and I'll see you at the next one.